What's up, guys? Welcome back to CNB Bass, and today I want to talk to the beginner fisherman, the person that may not have fished that much in their life, or just the person that wants to go to the lake and be able to catch a bunch of fish and have a great time. This setup that I'm going to show you today is going to be the setup that you should take with you to be able to catch that fish. So this here, I've got a 6-foot medium light fast action rod with a Daiwa Legalis 1500 reel, and went to Bass Pro and bought both of these. They're not together. I bought them separately. You can go and get a combo together, and it will be a little bit cheaper than what this rod and reel cost me. But with that being said, the rod, you could actually go to a light or an ultralight, but with this application and stuff, with being able to throw a night crawler, cricket, or minnows, toughies, or whatever, there's gonna be a likelihood that you can catch a bass or a catfish and stuff like that. So how I look at it is, I want to have something that's going to have the backbone to be able to help me control that fish as much as possible. So, but when you do catch that catfish or that bass, you're still going to have to baby them, one, because of the rod, and two, because of the lightweight line that you have on it. Because with this lightweight rod and reel, you're going to want to be able, you can cast it farther with lighter line, and you don't need to have that 12, 14, 20 pound line, even the 50 pound braid. This line that I have on here is 6 pound Seaguar AbrazeX, which is Seaguar's fluorocarbon, and I really like throwing the Seaguar on this lighter line. It seems to be to where it does not tangle up or anything as bad as what some others do. But with that being said, guys, let's talk about what I have, the application that I'm using for this. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bobber stopper on. What the bobber stopper does, it does what it says. The name of it is, it stops the bobber. It allows you to move this and adjust the line, or the depth on the line, to where the bobber is going to go, and it's going to lay down until it hits that bobber stopper. Once that hits that bobber stopper, it's going to stand up. So, but the bobber that you're going to need is called a slip bobber, and so it is very important to be able to have a slip bobber instead of the ones that has the springs. The ones that has the springs, one, will not last you as long as what the slip bobber is. I've got bobbers that's actually in my boat. I actually got one tied on a rod that I've had for 25, 30 years, that when I was a kid, I was fishing with my granddaddy, and we were using these slip bobbers, and I still have them. They're still good. But the ones with the springs will rust out, or they will not sand up properly. And then another thing that's different with having the slip bobber to the ones that's got the springs, guys, is the ones with the springs, like let's say you set it at 7 foot, you're having to throw a 7-foot long line to cast wherever you're going. With the slip bobber and the bobber stopper is going to go through these eyes, and so you can cast it to where you're going to be able to have more accurate casts, be able to flip it to wherever you're wanting to flip it, throw it, and it's going to be more manageable to be able to get that the bait where you're wanting to get it, guys. And so next thing you need is a split shot. Split shot I will either use 1 or 2 of them, depends on really what, if the bobber's not standing up completely, I will add another split shot. Or if my bobber is standing up, but the styrofoam on the bobber is right at the water level or below water level, I will take one off. So because that will, if you have too much weight on it, what it's going to do is everything that bumps it is going to take it up underneath the water. You really don't want it. You want it to kind of stand up. They have like the orange line, the fluorescent orange line. That's kind of a good marker to kind of keep the water line at that line. So because if you have it at that line and it goes up underneath the water, then you know that they actually have the bait, and so then you know when you need to hook set. So guys, the hook that I will use is typically a 2 to 4 Aberdeen straight shank hook. This hook will, you can use it for crickets, you can use it for night crawlers, minnows, toughies. This hook here is kind of one that will do it all, and it's small enough to be able to get into the crappie's mouth, the bluegill's mouth, shell crackers and stuff like that. So this is the setup that I have. Again, I have 6-pound line. I've got a bobber stopper, a slip bobber, split shot, and this here is a number 2 straight shank Aberdeen hook. So but you might be thinking, all right, I got the setup, I've got that figured out. Now let's talk about the bait that you're going to use. What you need to do, go to your local bait shop, and you can get crickets. Usually if I get crickets, I'm buying in between 80 to 100 crickets, and that will kind of, if I'm looking at 80 to 100 fish wise that I'm catching, I'm usually going to catch in between 80 to 90, maybe 100 fish on it. Sometimes you miss, and sometimes that, especially the bluegill, will just take it. So you're going to catch quite a few on crickets. You're going to be able to catch crappie, bluegill, shell cracker, bass, and catfish on crickets as well. Really all these baits that I'm going to tell you, you're going to be able to catch all of those on this application. So but another thing that I really do like to use, probably more so than crickets, is going to be night crawlers. And the reason for that, guys, is because the night crawlers are going to come out to where they're yay long. You can take a piece of them, a quarter of it, and put on here, and you're going to be able to catch, I'd say 7, 8, maybe 10, depends on really how much they take of it. Fish on just a quarter of that night crawler. The crickets, you're really only going to be able to catch one and it's done. You got to put a new one on. But and then like minnows and toughies, it's the same thing as the crickets. It's usually one and done, because you want that minnow to stay moving, and usually after a fish hits it and tries to eat it, it's done. So to me, the night crawlers work best for me. I will use the crickets, night crawlers, and minnows and toughies and stuff, but my favorite application is night crawlers. On this video that you're seeing now, we are using crickets, and the crickets are not lasting 10 to 20 seconds in, and we're already reeling one in. So crickets does very well, but the night crawlers does exactly the same thing. And it really kind of depends on if the fish are wanting, sometimes the crickets will outfish the night crawlers, sometimes the night crawlers will outfish the crickets. It's just kind of one of them things that you're going to have to find out as you're fishing. But usually you can go get 50 crickets and you can go and catch quite a few fish. You can go get a little bucket of night crawlers for a couple bucks and go catch a bunch of fish. So, but with this application, guys, I mean, you're able to catch a lot of fish in a short amount of time. This video here that we're showing you right now, we ended up, was using crickets, and I think within a matter of like 30-40 minutes we already had 50-60 bluegill in the boat to have a good fish fry with the fish that we caught. Another thing on the when you're fishing, if you have it out, usually I will start out around 4 or 5 foot where the bobber stopper is, and if you're catching you're not catching any fish, just adjust. It's easy to adjust the depth on it. Just move it up or down the line. And so usually what I will do, start out around 4 or 5 foot, pitch it out there. If I'm not getting bites fairly quick, then I will let it go deeper. And then if I start catching fish, and maybe they're just small fish and I want to be able to catch a bigger fish, usually what I'll do is I'll move it from there, move it up 6 to 8 inches, let that bait get a little bit deeper, because usually the bigger fish are going to be below the smaller fish. And so with that being said, guys, I hope that this helps you out. I hope that you can go out there, catch a bunch of fish, have fun, and let me know what you think. Let me know if you've tried this application, or if you tried it and you were able to catch a bunch of fish. Just let me know. Put it in the comments. If there's other ways that you go out there and you are able to catch a bunch of brim and crappie out there, let me know. And hope you have a blessed day. I'll see you out on the water, guys. See you guys.